sixth step for you to sustain your spiritual freedom is to learn to biblically confront others. Biblical confrontation, along with our next step, realign how you relate to others, are intricately connected.
And as we'll see later, your ability to confront and to realign your relationships are two critical steps in your removing apprehension from your life.
First, we'll discuss how to redemptively confront others and how to realign your relationships so they're pleasing to our Lord. Then we'll show you how to recognize and rid yourself of many forms of apprehension in your life.
So first, let's discuss biblical confrontation. Confrontation is not conflict, although the emotions produced can be similar.
Confrontation is redemptive. You're endeavoring to remove anything that hinders the quality of a relationship.
On the other hand, conflict is competitive in nature. The goal of conflict is that someone wins and someone else loses.
Conflict in relationships produces arguments. You try to prove that you're right and that the other person is wrong.
Conflict is definitely not redemptive. It drives a wedge between you and your perceived opponent.
Our Lord wants you to know how to biblically confront people so that your relationships are strengthened.
At the same time, the demons want you to get into conflict with others so that your relationships will be damaged.
Just remember, many of your close relationships, such as your family and faith community, may be influenced by the same strongholds that so recently held you captive. The strongholds that still hold them captive will do all they can to entice you into conflict. These unclean spirits win when you end up despising your loved ones who are still imprisoned by the demons.
You need to be very careful as you make these steps we share a part of your life. The strongholds that influence your loved ones will try to contend against you. These unclean spirits like nothing more than to make you bitter and resentful toward other people, especially your family and others in your faith community.
As we mentioned earlier, some of your strongholds were generational, and those which once controlled you are still influencing your family.
Those spirits know which buttons to push to get you agitated again. And if they succeed, you lose a lot of the freedom you gained.
The spirits in those strongholds want to stir you into bitterness and resentment toward the person they control. And as we discussed before, if you refuse to forgive others, you are unforgiven by our Father.
Listen, Satan will make sure that you'll always have opportunity to take offense against someone. So, you must remember to keep taking your thoughts captive.
And it's essential that you learn how to confront people effectively with a Christ-like attitude.
There is so much more to biblical confrontation than we can present here. But we want to share with you a common relational trap from our book, Growing Relationships Through Confrontation.
When spiritual strongholds are lodged in your soul, they'll often stir you to avoid confrontation at all cost.
By keeping you from biblical confrontation, you live in apprehension with others. Then you can't love them as Jesus commands. That becomes a victory for the demons.
The fruit of non-confrontation is a codependent relationship. You may have heard the term codependency before.
In a codependent relationship, one person dominates everyone else, while one or more others refuse to confront that individual. They end up living with ongoing apprehension.
Before we go further into confronting and breaking free from codependency, let me share a key point. You can't always categorize a person as dominant just because you're fearful to confront him or her. Sometimes strongholds can create irrational fears in you toward another person, but these negative perceptions have no basis in reality. In other words, if you're an under-assertive person, someone who's assertive seems over-assertive to you. So be careful that when you describe someone as dominant, you aren't just filled with irrational fears yourself.
Let me describe a truly dominant person. This is the individual other people have to tiptoe around. The behavior of a dominant person is controlling and intimidating. They want their way at all costs and will resort to any means to get it. Other people are forced to either flee, confront him, or live in apprehension. And because of strongholds, the vast majority choose to live in apprehension.
The whole operation of codependency looks like intermeshed gears. First, you have the dominant person. Then there are the codependents, those who are close to the dominant person and live in apprehension or fear of them. They don't want to do anything that may set off the dominant individual.
The codependent person often discourages others from confronting the dominant individual. These significant others might truly want to confront the dominant individual, but the codependent person does everything he or she can to prevent confrontation.
The longer that discomfort and avoidance are practiced, the more deeply entrenched fear and non-confrontation become.
In families and close faith communities, two possible responses are likely when people refuse to confront. Others will be entrapped in the codependent relationship, or they'll be forced to flee the relationship in order to maintain their own dignity, respect, and values.
Let's review the gears one more time. The motion of the gears is driven by the dominant person's unconfronted behavior, attitude, or opinions. The codependent person fears the emotional tension that may result from confrontation. The codependent person may even offer excuses or defend the dominant person's behavior.
Affected by fear and denial are the significant others, the children or spiritual family who are in close relationship with the dominant person.
Again, the significant others may want to confront or admonish the one who's controlling everyone else, but the codependent person may hinder them.
They too may fear the emotions that confrontation may generate, so they learn to live with ongoing apprehension too, and all the gears keep spinning.
Let me stress an important insight. Every codependent situation we've encountered has been stronghold driven.
So ridding yourself of strongholds liberates you from being a gear in the whole mess.
Please go through our book, Growing Relationships Through Confrontation. In it, we explain how to confront others redemptively without coming into conflict with them.